How are you going today? I usually start the podcast with "What's up?" That actually reminds me of Milhouse in The Simpsons when what's happening there? Lisa starts dating McBain's daughter. Maybe, can't remember. What's up? Or maybe it's Thrill House. At some stage, Milhouse says, "What's up?" If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Business lessons from 50 Cent, the big dog, the biggest dog in the club. Possibly the greatest song of all time. And that's a subjective comment, right? Is it? It's a subjective comment. Anyway, whatever you think of the song, you probably know it. You can find me in the club. So part 7 here he goes. He says, "I'm fully focused, man. My money on my mind. I'm fully focused, man. My money on my mind." I used to think he was saying, "I'm feeling focused." I'm like, fully focused gives it a different perspective for me, because here he goes. "I'm fully focused, man. My money on my mind." And what does that mean for your electrical business, for your Sparky business, for your aircon business, solar business? Yes, I understand electrical and Sparky are the same things. Anyway, what does it mean for you? And I think your money has to be on your mind. You have to know if you're making money or not. It's so interesting. You know, I've been saying this so much lately, but we all want the good year, the good financial year. I did this, I did that, for no other reason than that's why you started the business. We don't want to tell everyone, broadcast it from a billboard, get a megaphone out there and be like, "Oh, I made $1 million last year, $1 million, Dr. Evil style," right? Actually, I was thinking the other day, you know, Dr. Evil, when he's going, "Can I have a hug? Can I have a hug?" Like, that was actually me to my 5-year-old Jasper the other day. I was like, "Jasper, can I have a hug?" And he was ignoring me, and I really, really wanted a hug. Anyway, I don't know why I'm saying that. Money's important. Money has to be important. It has to be the driving factor, or one of the major driving factors behind what you do. Yes, you want your product to be awesome, but if it's not profitable, then what is the point, right? And money is very important, and too often we bury our head in the sands on stuff that's very important. And the reality is, if you want a good financial year, if you want a great financial year, if you want an excellent financial year, then you need to have a good today, a great tomorrow, and an excellent Thursday, or whatever the next day is. You know, you need to be performing like, the great year is found in the tight schedule, the well-priced jobs, the knowing your numbers, the knowing your efficiencies, to building out your price book, to working out materials, margins and markups, working out plant and equipment, all that kind of stuff. Like, a great year is found in a great day today and a great day tomorrow. And if you're not having a great day tomorrow or the next day, or if you don't know if you're having a great day today or tomorrow or the next day, then you might just find yourself in a bit of hot soup at the end of financial year, going like, "Oh, I just did it again." "Oh, I did it again. Like, and it's the definition of insanity, don't forget, is doing the same thing twice and expecting a different result. And you got into the electrical world because it's one of the smarter trades. It's the smartest trade. It's the sexiest trade. Just look at yourself in the mirror and be like, "I am a smart and sexy person. That's what I am." That's what you are. But money's important. You've got to be hitting your targets. You've got to know your targets, because how do you hit a target that you don't know about? It's like kind of shooting an arrow where's the target? I don't know where the target. You've got to have some sort of target, and that will give you context to whether you're hitting a bullseye or not. With no target comes no context. With no context comes kind of like a shooting in the wind or pissing in the wind, you might say, right? So you've got to have a target. What do you go off? Like, I know a lot of coaching companies go off revenue. It's pretty much the low-hanging fruit. It's one of the easiest things to increase with no accountability. So in other words, the greatest way to explain revenue is like everything that your company sort of brings in financially, right? But like, if it can be a great indicator in some aspects. It can indicate growth. Of course it can, because I used to invoice 30K a month. Now I'm doing 50K a month. But essentially, it's sort of vanity in a way. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's got nothing to do with profit, right? So the greatest example I can tell you why revenue is such a cooked measurement is that you can be like, especially in the trade sense, you know, let's say I'm selling 1 million PowerPoints, at $10. I might have a $10 million revenue, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm at the barbecue going like, I've got a rev of 10 mil, baby. You think 50 cents rich? Like, you've got nothing on me. You can find me in the club, right? I'm selling a million PowerPoints a year. But let's say those PowerPoints are costing me $10, then I am making zero. So my rev's 10, but my expenses are 10, and now I'm just sitting at zero. So maybe you can't find me in the club. Maybe you can find me like wallowing in my sorrows somewhere. And so I think this revenue can be great to indicate certain growth factors, but the reality is it doesn't matter how many tradies you get on and how much you increase your revenue. If you don't know if you're profitable or not, it's just a cooked measurement. Like it's a way to indicate things, and it also can be completely blind leading the blind, and it can lead you up a garden path that maybe you don't want to go down. And the interesting thing is, if you're not profitable at 1 and 2 and 3, what makes you think you're going to be profitable at 8, 9, 10? And the big trap people fall into consistently when they're growing their business is they're not profitable and they grow, and the house of cards ends up crashing down. And that's so hard for so many people. I kind of been there, like not that disastrous, but pretty disastrous. It's an awful feeling because you kind of got to go back to base, back to square one. And you might have an amazing client, but they might be on an old pricing structure or a poor pricing structure. And now we're looking at it going like, that client would have paid this rate, but I'm stuck on the old rate. Now I've got to raise it up without causing too much alarm, too much distress. Now I'm risking the chicken to save the egg, and it's quite a dangerous position to be in. So like I said, the other podcast, I'm very envious of those people that get their foundations and pricing structure started from you have no idea how lucky you are. If that's you and you're getting everything set up from the start properly, that's freaking legendary. So revenue is a way to look at it. You can look at gross profit or net profit, but you have to know what you're looking for when you're looking at what number. So revenue can indicate growth, but it doesn't necessarily indicate profit, right? But if you look at net profit, say, that's a fantastic thing to look at because it's sort of like the money you're left with once everything's paid for. And this is why I'm a massive believer that like you've got to be paying yourself market value. So, I'm not talking as an accountant here, like, because I'm not an accountant, so why would I talk like that? But like, I'm not talking about like what you're actually paying yourself. But if I'm just talking about what I would input you into our calculator for is market value. So if you are on the tools, your market value is going to be sort of 85 grand to 115 grand, depending on where you live, basically. So, lots of places are paying more. Some places are paying 55. Some places are paying 40. That's Australia right now. It's quite a diversified market. There's some markets that people are like, I want this, and they're like, well, I don't have an option, so I have to pay that. There's other markets where, cost of living's cheaper, housing's cheaper, all this kind of stuff's a bit cheaper, and people haven't realised what they're worth, or the market's not there dictating for that, so you don't need to pay that. So it is somewhere between 40 and 55. Like if I had to cast a blanket over some loose figures, I would sort of say that, right? Obviously, generally speaking, the closer you are to the city, the more money you can earn. On that as well, moving forward into it, like if you're in the operations role, chances are you're going to be earning in the 110 to 140 market value, depending on, once again, proximity to city, size of company, type of work, type of clients, all that kind of stuff. So that's what you could be replaced for. It's important to put yourself into a calculator for what you can be replaced for, right? Because otherwise, if we get down to the bottom of our net profit and we're paying ourselves like little to nothing, it's going to give us a false indicator of what actually happens. So it's super interesting, and this is maybe the best way I can explain it. I sat with someone one day, and they were like, "Oh, I'm not making any business profit." Gah, gah, gah. And I was like, "Sweet. Well, like, what are you paying yourself?" And this person had a team of maybe 2 or 3, and they were like, oh, maybe it was like a tradie apprentice, and like I'm paying myself 135 grand, and I'm paying my partner 135 grand, right? So it's 270 grand. And I'm like, to be honest, that's like, you've already taken the business profit out in that wage, that there's going to be nothing left at the end of that, or close to nothing left, because you've eaten the sandwich and then complained why there's no sandwich. So he's looking at business profit going like, I got nothing. I've got nothing. Where is it? Like, where's the sandwich? And you look at it and go, okay, well, sweet. Like, let's flip the script here. So let's say you're on 120 grand wage, like what your replacement. Let's say your partner's doing jack nothing. You're just giving it to them because you're distributing the funds equally to lower your tax requirement, right? So let's call it for what it is. They're not doing anything in the business, but you're trying to siphon money to them, sink money. This is why I'm so like, if your partner's not doing anything, no offense to your partner, I love your partner. Actually, that sounds weird. I love your partner. Send them my number. But if they're not doing anything, I will. Anyone that wants to put their partner in an admin position in my calculator, in my house, you come to my house, you play by my rules. Anyone that, if you come to my house, you get my wife's name right. The other guys, right? That is such a good movie. But anyone that wants to put their wife into our calculator, Cam and I will be like, well, are they doing anything? Like, because we're not just paying them because that's going to raise our charge outs too much. That's going to give us a false indicator of what we need to charge and a false indicator of our profit at the end of the year, because it's like, it's cooking our numbers. It's cooking the book, so to speak. It's not right. Like, I would argue that even syncing your partner's cars and all these different expenses and trying to on-cost that to the client, I'm like, you can't do that. Like, you've got to, you can't do everything. Like, you have to tell the calculator the facts, right? You can't grey area the calculator and then the calculator spits out a number too high what you have to charge, and you try and on-cost that to someone else, the end user, the client. The client's like, it's too expensive. And you're like, well, that's what I have to charge. It's like, so you can kind of see the grey areas. Like, you can kind of see why we do the two-pack, why we do the cost operations session, so we can really iron this stuff out, and why we do the Beastimator session, so we can really iron this stuff out and show you what you need to charge, how you can charge it, what's the forecast, what's the revenue looking like, what's your profit looking like, what you can pay yourself, what's this sort of, all numbers, all things numbers, right? All things numbers. It's actually amazing. It's so beautiful in its purity that you would run a profitable and successful business, or a highly profitable and highly successful business. That's an honorable pursuit. That's a great way to live your life, where you can be a great boss, a great husband, a great dad, a great wife, a great partner, or whatever. Green jacket, gold jacket, white jacket, doesn't matter. Whatever your pursuit is, get into it. So it's like, I remember looking at him going, okay, sweet, well, if we actually put you as market value, then your business profit's probably around that 20% or whatever it was. I'm just making these figures up because I didn't actually measure that at that point. But I'm like, you've eaten the sandwich, complain there's no sandwich, but I can show you where the sandwich is. It's in your stomach, right? It's in your bank account. You've already taken it. And this is why you've got to and profit's such an interesting way to look at it too, because it's determined on what you pay yourself if it's market value. It's also determined on net profit's determined on what you reinvested into that year. So was there a double handling of staff members you were training up, whether that was admin or site staff? What was there courses that you paid for? Was there events you went to? Was there a big staff training weekend? What went on that year to lead to that? Was there an increase in subscriptions, increase in rent at some point? So all this stuff needs to be factored into the holistic picture. So in my opinion, we need to take all the financial measurements into the equation, not just one, not just two, but everything, because every one of them has some sort of key indicators that can lead north or south pretty quickly. And this is why you need to know your numbers and be on top of your numbers and be like, oh yeah, that year was like this, but I did this. This year was like this, but it's moving forward to this. And if I can just put this year correct or this month correct, I can set myself up for the best financial year ever. And make no mistake, we want you to have the best financial year ever. I want you to have the best financial year ever. You want you to have the best financial year ever. I know you know you, and I know that you know that I know you, right? Dodgeball, what a sick movie. My gosh. Anyway, fully focused, man. My money on my mind. You got to be hitting your targets. You got to know your net profit off every single job. You got to know where the hours are spent. You've got to know all this kind of stuff. You have to know the number. You have to know efficiency. You have to know your cost operations. You have to know your highest paid tradie, lowest paid tradie, highest paid apprentice, lowest paid apprentice. You have to know your materials margins or markups. You have to be able to reverse engineer all this kind of stuff. It sounds like rocket science. And if I'm not speaking your language, jump into one of our sessions, because we can really lay it out for you in such a clear way. Our accelerated course of billable hours will show you how and why and what we're looking at when we measure every single hour, when we measure every single job, when we measure every single day, we measure every single week. It's not that hard when you know how. Everything is easy to those who make it easy, right? And everything's impossible to those stuff that. And I want to encourage you to put a line in the sand and get your money on your mind 50 cent style and be like, this is important to me because I want to run a successful, profitable business. I won't go another day. I won't go another moment. I won't go another minute. I won't go another second without nailing this thing. And you've got to at some point grip it and rip it and get that competitive edge out and be like, I'm going to make this thing work. I'm going to wrangle this thing into submission. I'm going to get my money on my mind, and I'm going to have to start looking at the figures. When you look at efficiency, as you guys know, you're not just looking at the numbers on the paper. You're also looking at the effectiveness of the implementation of how you handled that job. So efficiencies like the utilization and also the effectiveness or the efficient use of the time. Was it productive? Was everyone used properly? Did we have the materials on site? Was I late? Was the schedule in place? Was there variations charged for? There's 40 to 50 different items that can vary the effectiveness or efficientness of that job, right? We need to take into consideration the holistic picture. But get your money on your mind. Start hitting some good months. Start hitting some good years. How do you hit a good month and you hit a good year? I'll tell you what you do. You hit a good day today, you hit a good day tomorrow, you hit a good day the next day, and then you repeat it and you repeat it and you repeat it. And it's so important if we can grab the figures and if we can know the figures and if we can actually outwork the figures. I sat with someone the other day in our accelerator spreadsheet showing them their where this job landed, and it landed pretty poorly to be honest. And I was like, well, how did you see that outworking? And they gave me the hours, they gave me the materials, and I was like, okay, so the quote should have been, 16 and a half, say in this instance. It was 15.1. How did you land at 15.1? You're like, oh, yeah. The quote was cooked because we didn't spend 3 minutes actually checking it. And the process was cooked because we had an extra staff member or had this or that or whatever. So if we can combine effective quoting with effective handling, now we can have a profitable and successful business. But let's face it, if the job is quoted incorrectly, we might just be doomed from the start. If you're selling T-shirts for $30 that are costing you $40, what would you advise someone? If your best friend came to you and they said, oh, hey, Jimmy, let's just say your name is Jimmy. They say, Jimbo, what's up, dog? Let's say, as a Jimmy, I've got this sick business idea. I'm buying T-shirts for $30. I'm selling them for, I'm buying them for $35. I'm selling them for $30. What do you reckon? You'd be like, let's go grab a beer. let's just sit down and talk about this. Maybe not a beer. Maybe you can butcher. You've had too many beers. This is a ridiculous idea. So it's simply like, but if he said, hey, I'm buying these at 30. I'm selling them for 60. You'd be like, amazing. Perfect, good, or whatever. So it's like whatever you're trying to do in your business, you're just trying to sort of like make money on time and materials. So that's essentially your one or two moves as an electrical, solar, aircon god. You're looking to your labor rate, your labor efficiency, your materials, your plant and equipment, and it's all tying together. You can't have a lot of times you can't have like the all four of them. You can't have a high mover materials, not normally, high mover materials, high markup, good labor rate with good labor efficiency. That's like the quadruple threat. I'm not saying it's unheard of or uncommon, but you can usually have at least two of those or 1.5 to 2 of those. But if you can do it well, and if you can know what every job's hitting net profit wise, if you can know what your average profit was, like net profit for the week, month, year, you can do some really, really cool things. But don't be disheartened by the year, be encouraged by the day. So sometimes as business owners, often find we try and make it too complicated. Like, how's the year going to go? And it's like, well, sometimes, hear me out here. I know I'm speaking to someone right now. Stop the car, pull the handbrake up in the main street, rip a bit of a burnout here. Sometimes we can make the achievement so large just so we don't have to do anything. Just so it's like, well, it's unattainable to know how the year's going to go today, so I just will do nothing about it. And it's like, oh, well, that's too hard to get started, so you know what I'll do? I'll do nothing. It's classic procrastination at its finest. It's like, the job is so big and so overwhelming that I will not even start. And it's a very common position as a business owner you find yourself in, because it's not pressing today, but it is pressing in 6 to 12 months' time. You running a profitable, successful business, it does matter in 5 years' time. It does matter in 1 year's time. It does matter in 6 months' time. That's very, very important. So sometimes we can make the job so large we do nothing. I don't know if that's relating to you or not. I think it is. But we need to pull it back to the micro, right? Pull it back to the micro and be like, what does a successful, profitable year need? It needs a successful, profitable day today. And then that day turns into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into years. We're bang, we're cha-cha, we've got it, we've got it, we've got it. I need you to feel fully focused. I need you to be fully focused. Your money has to be on your mind. You have to know this stuff. Doesn't matter if you're a numbers person or not. If you're not, make it someone else's problem. Make it our problem. Come and see our spreadsheet. We'll show you exactly how the things work out. So it's really easy to input, really easy to understand, but your money has to be on your mind. Just like 50 Cent, baby. I'm feeling focused, man. My money on my mind. Money is important in business. Money is important in business. Money is important in business. Make it important. Get the money on the mind. Rock and roll. Peace.